Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Liam Douglas here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about some awesome new AI powered software for editing your photos. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and roll the intro. Okay, so recently I had a representative of a company called Retouch4Me contact me and ask me if I'd be interested in trying out 3 or 4 of their photography editing plugins that are AI powered to make your life easier when it comes to editing your photographs. And I told them absolutely, I'd be more than happy to try them out and give a review of them here on my channel. Now, this is not a sponsored video. They didn't pay me anything. They just provided the plugins for me to try out. Which I did, and you're going to see that in a moment here. And so this is not a sponsored video. They are not getting to have any say in what I say in this video. They will see the video at the same time you, my public, does. So no worries about that, full transparency. So let's go ahead and take a look at these awesome new plugins from Retouch4Me, and I'll let you see them in action, and then we'll wrap up this video. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the 4 Retouch4Me plugins that I'm testing out in this video. And the first one we're going to look at is the healing plugin. Now this is designed for cleaning up skin blemishes and imperfections in your portrait photography. So I'm going to load the first image here. This is one of my granddaughter Callie that I took when we were up north visiting family. And let me get right here where we'll zoom in a little bit more. Now, it automatically detects blemishes, and it does a really good job of cleaning them up, so you don't have to do the work the hard way. And if I click the brush tool, you can see what it detected. So you can see all of those little spots that it detected and cleaned up. Because she had a little bit of a scratch right here under her eye, and she has a small mole by this nostril. And so if we go back to this and then click this button to look at the original, yeah, so you can see where it cleaned those items up and removed them without making the skin look plasticky or fake. So it does a really good job of detecting and cleaning up blemishes. And down here you can set it to automatic human scale detection, close-up portrait, half-length portrait, or full-length portrait. Depending on the type of shot that you did. And you can also use the eraser tool, and it has an invert mask tool as well. And these plugins can all be used either as standalone apps or as add-ons to Photoshop. They even have a Photoshop plugin panel that you can install into Photoshop, where you can have quick and easy access to all of their plugins from the Photoshop panel. But let me go ahead, I'm going to save a copy of this image after we did the skin healing, and we'll save it back to the original folder on my desktop. Now I'm going to take this shot. Now this is a self-portrait that I did a few years ago, and I used clamshell lighting, and I used a black backdrop. And so if we click the brush tool again, you can see all of the small blemishes and imperfections in my skin that it detected and cleaned up. And then if we click the original, you can notice some of them. Let me zoom in a little bit more here so you can see a little more easily. Come on, let's get this. Alright, so let's go up here, and so yeah, see, you can see the little skin blemishes that it cleaned up. Had no problems getting those out and cleaning that information up. So we'll go ahead and save this one as well. And once again, I'll label it with Heal because we use the Heal plugin. And then we'll look at one more. Now, this last one is a photo of my grandson Jameson sitting on his father's lap. Now this is one of Callie's older brothers. And let's get a little bit zoomed in here. So if we look again with the brush tool, we can see the little spots that it found that it fixed automatically. And if we look at the original, see all the little tiny imperfections in the skin that are cleaned up. And it's great because this plug-in does a great job of cleaning up the skin without making it look plastic or, you know, fake, anything like that. Because I've seen some plugins that really go over the top with reworking skin, and you end up with a person that doesn't even look like a real person. So now we've saved a healed copy of that image as well. Now the next plugin that I want to show you in this video, let's go to the Retouch4Me backdrop. Now what this plugin, the Clean Black Backdrop plugin, is designed to do is to detect and remove wrinkles or folds or anything like that from your backgrounds if you're doing studio portraits and that kind of work. Now I've only got one sample image to use here, but we're going to go ahead and use it because it's a good example, and that's once again the portrait of myself, and we'll let it load back up. Alright, so now we increase the size of this window a little bit here. And down here at the bottom, you can, this plugin will also remove dirt specks in your images and stuff like that. So we have coarse dirt, medium dirt, and fine dirt. So it'll clean up things like that as well as fixing, you know, folds and issues like that that it detects in your backdrop. Let me go back to the original here because original size, so it'll be easier to see. So let's click on the brush and see all of these lighter colored areas are all puckers or folds or creases that it detected in the black backdrop that I used for this photo, as well as detecting some of the stuff in my shirt as well. So if we go back here, then you can see the original, see all the puckers in the fabric in the background, and now they're smoothed out quite nicely. Does a really good job of cleaning that up, just making it quick and convenient. Again, if you're like me, you don't want to spend a ton of time editing your images after the shoot. Some people enjoy all that editing. I'm not one of those people. So let's go ahead and we'll save another updated copy of this image. So heal plus backdrop. And so we'll save that version of the shot. Now that was the only sample image I had that I could really use because, like I said, I don't generally do portrait photography, especially not studio portrait photography. I did a long time ago when I first started working as a professional photographer. I used to work for a company, and I traveled up and down the eastern seaboard with 5 or 6 other guys, and we did all the children's portraits and family portraits for the Kmart stores back in the day, before retail stores had their little mini fixed studios to do portraits. So I haven't done a lot of portraits since back in those days. Like I said, I mostly just do portraits for myself of my kids, grandkids, my wife, stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of examples of backdrop images that we could clean up for this review of this plugin. But like I said before, you can see that it does a great job of automatically detecting, you know, all the folds and creases in the backdrop and even some of the ones in my shirt, and then getting rid of them for us to make the image look really nice, the final version of the image. So let me go ahead and close that. And next we're going to take a look at the dodge and burn. So this plugin will do automatic dodging and burning for you to correct light and dark areas of an image. That's what this is mostly used for, that kind of stuff. And again, dodging and burning isn't something that I've done a lot of in my photography, just because it's more commonly done in portraits. And again, I don't do portraits as a general rule. But let's go back to this one of my granddaughter Callie, and we'll see here. Maybe it'll be better if I zoom out. Let's see what it's showing us. So you can see all of the areas in her face where there's too much light, and even in the chair next to her and stuff like that, a little bit on the wall. And it's gonna try to balance all that out. Now there's so much light on her face because there's a off camera to the right here is a big sliding glass door. So that's why there's so much light on her. So you don't see a ton of difference here in the before and after, but you can slide to increase warmth if you want. And then you can also adjust the blending. I didn't show this before on the other plugins, but they all have this functionality as far as adjusting the blending. And they all have, you know, the brush tool and the erase tool. You know, if you feel the need to fine tune anything, then of course you can. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this image. So we'll do heal plus and burn. And we'll save that. And let's take a look at another image. Grab this one of Jameson again. Whoops. No, I don't know why it's not letting me add the image. Okay, here we go. Now maybe it'll let me. There we go. Okay. So again, you know, it just makes subtle changes. You don't want anything too drastic, but again, you can see the light colored areas of where it's looking at, and that it did reduce things a bit. You can see the before and the after. See just a light shift. It may be hard to see in this video because of the compression that happens in YouTube videos and stuff like that. But you can see a subtle shift there in the bright and dark areas, just a little bit. Now, it's not over the top, which is what I really like about these plugins, is they do a great job of modifying the images without being over the top and overdoing things. Because, like I said, I've seen so many images that people just went way over the top with whatever plugin they were using, or if they were doing the adjustments manually, and you just you end up basically with a hot mess. So let's go and look at mine again, my portrait, because we've already done the backdrop on this as well as the heel, skin heel. So now let's do a little, see what we get from the dodge and burn. So you can see, yeah, most of it's going to be in this area because of the clamshell lighting. And you can see it does right there around my right eye and cheek, and even underneath my left eye. You can see the difference, the before and the after. And it just makes the face look a little more flattering by cleaning that up, which is really handy. And again, it makes the whole process super quick and easy. So you don't have to spend your entire day or weekend retouching images the old-fashioned way. So that's what's really cool about the Retouch4Me plugins, is they're just a tremendous time saver. Now, the last one I want to show you in this video that I tried out is the color match. Now, the color match will allow you to modify the colors of your photos after the fact, kind of like presets or film simulations if you shoot Fujifilm like I do. So I grabbed this landscape photo that I took at the North Carolina Museum of Art. And so then you can modify, with the sliders, you can modify the luminance and the color and the smoothing. But this is the cool part, is the LUT manager, where you can go in here and you can select LUTs, different looks that you want to use, and apply them to your images. Like this one here replicates a Panasonic GH4 vlog style. So let's go ahead and choose that one and see look at how much it changed the image. That's really drastic change. But in some ways it looks kind of cool and kind of dramatic. But let's go back here and look at something else. And they have a bunch of additional LUT resources available online that you can either buy or whatever the case may be, additional ones that you can purchase that are put out by different people. Like Stephen Van has these 5 free ones here. and you can try any of them. So let's grab Van 05. We'll try that one. Now see, there's the difference between the original image and his LUT. And that does a pretty nice job of modifying the colors. It's not bad looking. But again, this is all subjective. It's all, per your taste as an editor. This one's kind of cool because it gives it more of an old school look from back in the days of film, which is, I started in photography over 40 years ago. So believe me, I shot film and developed film for a long time before we moved into the modern era with digital cameras and now mirrorless cameras, of course. But there's just some really nice looks that you can get for your images using some of these LUTs, just to change the color, the mood, to simulate old film stocks, things like that. So definitely, it was another item that I wanted to check out that I thought looked like it could be interesting, because I'm always trying to come up with ways to make my images, interesting without being over the top, especially the nostalgia factor, the old film school looks. It's one of the things I love about shooting Fujifilm is their film simulations, and the fact that you can also load custom film recipes into the camera so that you can bake in the looks that you want right into your JPEGs. But this here can do that work for you, especially if you don't have a Fujifilm camera. If you got a Canon, Sony, Nikon, Panasonic, Leica, whatever the case may be, then this plugin can be extremely handy for you, because it'll give you these various colored LUTs that you can use to modify your images and just make them look the way you want them to look. Would be the best way I could say it. The best thing I could say about it is you could tweak things to make them look more to your taste. Now, again, you're going to have to keep in mind, if you come up with a color profile that's part of your photographic style and it's why your clients come to you, then that's great. But of course, when you're doing photo retouching work for clients, you're not necessarily going to want to go with some sort of crazy, color shift or LUT or preset or anything like that, because you want the customer to be happy with the images. But again, if you come up with a style that's unique and all your own, that involves one of these custom LUTs or any other kind of presets or anything like that you came up with on your own, and that is the look to your images that you're known for and that your clients come to you for, then that's 100% fine. So these are the 4 plugins from Retouch4Me that I wanted to try out for myself and then share in a video with my viewers. So those are the ones that I use. And I'm also going to pull up the website because they have a lot more plugins. I mean, they've got tons of plugins for all kinds of scenarios with your photography. So their list of AI plugins are here. The Heal, Dodge, and Burn I showed you. They also have eye vessels, eye brilliance, portrait volumes, the clean backdrop I showed you. They have a skin tone plugin, white teeth plugin, fabric, skin mask, mattifier, color match, which I showed you, and dust. And these are all perpetual licenses. So you buy these plugins. It's not an annual subscription or a monthly subscription or anything like that, which I love, because if you've been following my podcast or my YouTube channel here, I'm not a huge fan of subscription-based software. I prefer to just buy something outright and own it, and always own it. But yeah, all of their licenses are perpetual. They do also have a cloud-based retouching where you can use their plugins in a cloud-based system that's web browser-based, and you then pay. They have like packages where you can, get X number of image edits, images edited per month for a flat fee or whatever the case may be. If you're somebody that's going to be doing a smaller volume, you're just starting out, and maybe buying the plugins that you want doesn't make financial sense because you're not making money yet, then you could use their cloud service to do the retouching for your images instead of just paying for each plugin. Now, they do also offer bundles where you can get, you know, multiple plugins in a single package for a discounted price and things like that. So I will leave the link to their website in the description for this video so you can check all of this out for yourself. And you saw, you know, for yourself, you can use these as plugins for Photoshop and Lightroom, or you can use them as standalone apps, which is what I really like. I like it if I buy a piece of editing software and I can use it as a standalone app, because a lot of photo editing plugins, if you will, they're not necessarily geared towards Capture One, because more people are using Lightroom and Photoshop than Capture One. I prefer Capture One myself, especially because it does a better job with the Fuji RAW files than Adobe software does. So again, I like having the standalone option with these plugins so I can just use them individually, because they're not necessarily as integrated with Capture One as they are with Lightroom and Photoshop. Now I can go into Capture One and I can select an image and right click and choose edit with, and then I have to browse to the plugin I want to use, and I can do it that way. But when I finish the image edit and I do the save, it's not going to automatically save back into my Capture One catalog like it would in Lightroom. But I can just export, you know, the finished work, save as, you know, browse for where I want to drop it, name the file whatever I want to name it, and be good to go at that point. So that is the plugins from Retouch4Me. I think they're really fantastic. Their AI, or what I would call machine learning, does a really good job of addressing the issues that they're made for, which is always a positive thing. So that is going to be it for this video. I want to thank you all for taking the time to sit and watch this with me. And yeah, that's going to wrap this one up. All right, so as you saw in my photo editing session portion of this video, these plugins are extremely powerful and handy. I mean, they can take a ton of work off your plate, especially if you're a portrait photographer, you do a lot of studio portrait work or wedding photography or something like that. The other big thing that I like about their plugins is, even though they can be used with Photoshop, Lightroom, and Capture One, they can also be used as standalone programs, which I absolutely love. I love anytime I can get a photography plugin that also works as a standalone app. It's one of the reasons why I love the 𝐑𝐄 collection. And these plugins work the same way. You can either use them in Photoshop, in Lightroom, in Capture One, or as a completely standalone app, each individual one of them. And these apps make it easy, especially if you're somebody starting out in photography and you're not a whiz at editing, and you're hesitant about using Photoshop because it is a super complex program. There's a lot of stuff to learn to really master Photoshop, and it takes a considerably long time. There's a steep learning curve to Photoshop. And the nice thing is, Retouch4Me offers a Photoshop panel. So you can actually have a panel that pops up from within Photoshop and gives you a quick list of all their plugins that you have installed, and you can just check the ones you want to apply to any image. And you can even do batch processing images, which is totally cool. So in my opinion, I think you should definitely give them a try. Give them a look-see. You can get a demo of any of their plugins on their website. I'll have a link in the description down below for a special link that they created for me so that my viewers can get a discount on any of the plugins that they want to buy. But you can download them first and give them a try for yourself. They will save you a considerable amount of time and headache, and make your editing workflow a lot more streamlined and hassle-free. All right, so that is going to wrap up this video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on all notifications, and I will see you next time.